One of the biggest issues you may run into, depending on where you source your footage from, is copyright strikes. These can limit your monetization capabilities and even completely take down your channel if you don't avoid them. You may be wondering how FactsVerse frequently discusses Hollywood films, celebrities, and TV shows, and shows tons of footage of these topics throughout our videos. We are not copyright lawyers, and we can't provide you any legal advice in the realm of copyright. But as you can imagine, we have a lot of experience surrounding the topic of copyright on YouTube. In this module, I'll describe how you can avoid copyright claims on YouTube when using footage that is generally copyright protected. This can help you expand the type of content you make and monetize on YouTube, which is absolutely essential for some niches. Ultimately, this comes down to understanding fair use and YouTube's content ID match system. After covering those main ideas, we'll show you a few examples of how we use these guidelines to our advantage and show copyright protected footage without getting copyright strikes. Fair use. Fair use is something that's thrown around all the time when it comes to content creation, especially on YouTube. Luckily, Google and YouTube provide articles dedicated to this exact topic to let us know how to properly navigate fair use. According to these articles, fair use is a legal doctrine that says you can reuse copyright protected material under certain circumstances. They describe 4 factors that courts look at to determine whether something falls under fair use safely or if it's copyright infringement. The first factor is the purpose or character of the use. The main idea here is whether your use of the copyrighted material is transformative. If you add new meaning or interpretation to the original material, it's no longer serving the same purpose as that original material. It has transformed into a different piece of content. So as long as you're not copy and pasting the original material, you're off to a good start. An example in the context of a YouTube video is providing commentary on top of footage. If we discuss how an actor was struggling with an injury behind the scenes while showing footage from their television show, we're adding new meaning and context to that video that makes it transformative. The second factor is the nature of the copyrighted material, such as whether it's factual or fictional. Factual materials are more likely to be fair use, which is great for anyone who's creating documentary style or educational content because you'll have a bit more wiggle room than the rest of us. The third factor is a big one, and that's the portion of the copyrighted material used in relation to the whole. Google specifically says that borrowing small bits of material from an original work is more likely to be considered fair use than borrowing large portions. It does specify that if it's the heart of the work, even a small amount may not fall under fair use. Of course, that's going to depend on the material used and how it's being used. So it's still possible that you can use the heart of the work and be protected under fair use if you stick to some of these other factors. But for us, if we use 15 seconds of a 2-hour film, we're not even close to using a large portion of the copyrighted material. So again, unless you're just re-uploading entire unedited copyrighted materials, there's a lot of wiggle room here within fair use. The fourth and final factor is the effect of the use upon the potential market for that copyrighted work. The question you want to ask yourself here is whether using that copyrighted material is going to affect the original creator's ability to make money. Again, for FactsVerse, if we uploaded a full episode of The Brady Bunch, we'd be competing with streaming services who carry the Brady Bunch series for their paid subscribers. But if we use a single clip from a Brady Bunch episode while discussing the cast, we're not going to affect the sales of Brady Bunch DVD sets or streaming services. This is a pretty similar idea to sticking with that first rule of making sure it's transformative use, not just regurgitating the copyrighted material. So if you keep these 4 factors in mind when creating content, you should be pretty well protected from legal cases involving copyright. However, it's important to remember that this is very different from YouTube's content ID match system, which is way more likely to detect copyrighted materials in your content and lead to monetization restrictions.